there's been a lot of discussion. I mean, there's been full books written on who is Israel. And there's different elements to it, right? Israel is seen as a bloodline and a nation within Scripture. It's also seen as the people of God in Scripture, right? In Romans 11, Paul talks about the olive branch. He talks about the root, okay? He talks about branches being broken off and branches grafted in. I think he's talking about Israel. I know that that's debated, but I think he's talking about Israel. So the idea that someone who is not naturally born into Israel can be grafted into Israel, I think that that's what he's putting forward there. When I talk about Israel, okay, hang on just a sec. Back to that Romans 11 passage. This is where we get the idea, and when I say we, I'm talking about myself, my father Tim Hegg, Rob, Ariel Berkowitz. When we talk about this kind of theology, what we talk about is it's not replacement theology. Rather, it's enlargement theology. God never does away with the people of Israel. But if we take the people of Israel as a nation and a bloodline, and then we take faith, okay, and put it into the mix, then Israel is enlarged by the ingathering of the Gentiles by coming to Christ.
Right, right.
So this is what we mean by enlargement theology. He never does away with Israel. He never does away with the covenants for Israel. However, with all of that said now, let's also say that Israel as a nation today, not as the spiritual people of God, but as a nation today, is not a believing nation. So when we say, when you become a Christian, you don't all of a sudden have citizenship in Israel or anything like that. Israel is a nation, and God
There's a
is
state. Yeah, the state of Israel. Yeah, that's
and God is going to work with them, right? And at some point, we will be able to. When Paul says, I think that this is key too. I know I'm kind of off on a rabbit trail here, but I think it's key when he says, thus all Israel will be saved. What does that mean? Does it mean that everyone who is a Jew or has Jewish blood or is a citizen of Israel is going to be saved? I don't believe so. Faith in Jesus Christ, faith in Yeshua the Messiah, is what gives us our salvation and makes us fellow citizens. Right? He talks about this in Ephesians.
Yeah. Because there's Muslims that are citizens of the state of Israel.
Right.
I mean, you don't have, and there's Jews that are not citizens of the state of Israel.
But the point is that I don't think that when he says, thus all Israel will be saved, I don't think he means that bloodline-wise. And there have been some who think that this means everyone, it doesn't matter what you believe, as long as you have Jewish blood, you're saved. No. Very, very, and this certainly does not line up with what the scriptures say.
Or that you need to listen to a Jewish teacher.
Exactly. The point is
that somehow qualifies them.
Right. The point is that as we can look at the nation of Israel right now, that is the physical nation that is occupying the land of Israel currently and has a government there, we can look at them and say right now they are not a believing nation. There will be a time when we look at Israel as the nation and say they believe in Yeshua, and as a whole, Israel is saved.
Right. So we have our definition of Israel, you could say, has an eschatological aspect to it, in that because we are called, and this is back to the Romans 11. Why does he make this point about branches being put back on, other branches coming in? Is we're sowing in hope. Right. Our posture in this world towards the gospel and towards the rest of the world, with respect to the gospel, is sowing in the hope that there will be a harvest, that faith will be increased. But God is the one who gives the increase.
Right.
God's the one that. So, but if I call up the Chabad rabbi and say, "Who's Israel?" I'm asking him to make a judgment right now. Can he make a judgment right now that is true for all time? No, he's not going to. And if I call someone else who's of a different fragment of the Jewish world and ask them to define Israel, they're going to give me a different. So It's not a judgment that we make right now.
Right.
It is a eschatological hope that and confidence that in God's timing, the final look of the tree, because right now the way Paul teaches us with Romans 11 is that tree over time looks different depending on when you look at it. Someone might have seen the tree. Let's say they were using that tree metaphor while Saul of Tarsus was still kicking against, battling against the ecclesia. He would have looked like a branch that was on the ground that was not attached. But then once he confesses Yeshua is born again and he's all on fire for Yeshua, now the tree looks different. Right. Paul's now part of that tree. Okay, so in the same way, he's using that to leverage, say, look, what that tree looks like at the day of judgment, or however we think at the eschatological viewpoint of that tree, only God knows. But we can be confident that it will look exactly perfectly according to his will, and that the branches that are part of that tree are going to be genuinely anchored into the roots by faith, and that those branches that are not part of that tree don't want any part of the tree.
Right. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking the subscribe button, and check out more videos from Messiah Matters.